We are live.
Oh my God, this is weird. I can see myself on my phone. And okay.
So
Really do not do enough. I don't usually watch myself in real time when I do Facebook Live. So
and it on to the Influencer magazine. So here we are with Leanne Venier, and we are going to be discussing the most amazing array of quantum science and neuroscience and light therapy and color healing and immune boosting.
all kinds of fun stuff.
Fun, fantastic topic, especially for this time. And I'm just going to quickly share it to Influencer magazine so that those who know that that's where we'll be. There we go. It's sometimes easier to find if they don't know me. So I'm done. Have you posted on your side, Leanne?
I did. Yes.
Yay. Good.
Oh, it's presumably on my wall. But it's fine.
While you're there, let's make sure all your viewers and your fans can see you.
Okay.
All of my pages.
Let me also share it into my group. Group. There you go.
Ask your questions.
Okay, happening now. Here we are. People are like, are you guys gonna start talking? You're just gonna look at your phones the whole time.
All right, so
it's technology. Sometimes it's not as fast as we want it to be.
Sometimes it's not as fast, you're right.
Or it's a little finicky.
So there we go. And I'm going to do some extra sharing here. But us, Leanne, what have you got planned for us today?
So I'm going to be sharing a bunch of very simple immune boosting tips and some things that people may or may not be aware of as far as staying healthy and easy ways to do that instead of thinking it's so complicated and really it's not. So I have a list. I always have a list. I have a list. I'm going to be sharing with you a list of very simple things you can do.
Fantastic.
I have to have some coffee. Now, what is your beverage there, Joe, in that coffee mug?
I've got coffee and it's got a little bit of cinnamon on top. So that's
really, so we're both drinking coffee. Okay. That's yes. A nice mug.
Wine nearby, so I'll move on to that just now, but I needed an extra energy boost because, you know, this is late for me. Otherwise, I know.
Yeah, I know. 8 o'clock your time and 11 a.m. my time. And I'm not a super early bird person, so I go to bed very late. And you're more of you get up early, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're kind of like on the polar opposites. Okay, so anyway, my name is Leanne Venier. Did we say who I was?
We didn't say some more. We didn't say.
All right, I'll just give a brief intro. So I teach about the science behind the healing effects of color, light therapy, sunlight, energy medicine, and I get invited to lecture at major medical universities, international medical conferences, other health conferences, that sort of thing. I've been teaching about this for over 14 years now, validating light therapy as a viable science-based healing modality. So now that part has really taken off since you hear about light therapy everywhere now, or at least a lot of people. It's hard to have not heard about it. So now I'm educating people more about the quantum healing aspects and the importance of healing at the root of illness and disease and treating and healing the energy body, not just treating the physical body and the physical symptoms. And Western medicine is based in the chemistry model, which is all about manipulating chemistry or attempting to manipulate chemistry through pharmaceuticals and drugs. And if you really want to heal the body, you have to focus on the quantum physics aspects and the energy body, which is upstream from the physical body. So things happen, get disrupted in the energy body first before they start manifesting in the physical body. So you can completely reverse literally anything if you treat the root of the problem. And my background, I used to be a mechanical engineer designing submarines for Lockheed. I left that, moved to Italy for 7 years, spent all those 7 years studying all these alternative healing modalities, starting with herbology and moving up into subtle energy and prana therapy, energy medicine, and everything in between. Also psychology, the root of illness, psychological root, mind-body connection. Came back to the United States, went back to school for acupuncture and Zen Shiatsu, had a healing practice up in British Columbia, working with cancer patients, then came back to the States. And that was when I started painting as a creative outlet, and that just took off. I became a professional artist, and it was through the paintings and the colors in the paintings that people would have very strong responses to that I started sharing this information about how I can diagnose what's going on with you based on the colors that you're really drawn to. So so people would tell me, you know, what color that they were really attracted to in my paintings, and I would say, oh, well, if you're really drawn to that color, you may have this going on in your body and this going on in your life. And every time they'd be like, oh my God, that's exactly what's going on in my body and my life. How do you know that? So then people kept pestering me to share some of this information, put it on my website, write a book. I still haven't written the book, but anyway, I do a lot more in video format because I'm very good at talking a lot. So anyway, so that's how it all started. And then I started teaching about, you know, using color, light, and the importance of sunlight for maintaining optimal health, and also the healing energies in nature. What really caught on was not so much the enlightenment and consciousness and that sort of thing, but the light therapy component, because I presented hard science, and there's tons of it, to, you know, validate that these are actual viable healing, it's a viable healing modality, and why and how it works. And I explained the physics and the science in really simple, plain simple English, so that anybody can understand it. So yeah, and now I'm explaining to people again about the energy body and the Eastern medicine aspect, but going well beyond what people are typically trained in the traditional Chinese medicine schools these days, because they don't learn most of the stuff that I share and all the research that I've done. It's become a little bit more of a westernized model where they're learning how to diagnose and then treat symptoms. So and that's what traditional Chinese medicine does mean. It means it's the post-communist model of Chinese medicine. So they've gotten rid of all of the energetic aspects and the psycho-emotional root of illness and disease and that sort of thing. So I wanted to bring that back, because that's gotten more and more eliminated, and people need to understand how to recognize what's gotten out of balance, where it started, and then you can literally heal and reverse anything. Unlike you know, what Western medicine will try to tell you, that no, you have to take this pill for the rest of your life, or you have to have the surgery on a perfectly good body part that's just not getting the energy that it needs right now. So immune boosting is one component that everybody's kind of interested in right now because of, you know, the pandemic situation. And so I just wanted to share some simple tips about how to keep your energy body nice and strong and your physical body nice and strong, and the importance of addressing both of those. Okay, that was my intro. How many minutes did that last? I haven't even had any coffee yet. This is my first couple of sips.
Fabulous. We've got a noise interference happening.
Do you hear something in the background?
Yes.
Do you hear like a buzzing? Do you hear that?
Echoed on your side.
Oh no, I thought maybe because like off in the distance outside my back door, I can hear somebody running a little machine, and it just started.
No,
but I'm gonna close my door just in case.
It's not coming through.
What?
It's not coming through a Facebook Live.
Oh, an echo?
Yeah.
I don't know. Can any ask people who are watching?
Yeah, maybe that's a good idea. Guys, people on Facebook, can you hear that? Was it just me? It could just be the Zoom.
I'm gonna close this door though, because
So Leanne is in Texas and I'm in Abu Dhabi, and we're both cooking hot. So we're both in our shorts.
Yeah. Yeah. In our comfy denim shorts. Yes. Yeah, okay. It's actually nice here in the morning, but I don't have my air conditioning on. So where shall we start?
Wow. I think that we've got the most amazing stuff to cover, and we're all so excited. Where do you want to start?
Okay, well, I mean, for me, everything starts with the healing energies of sunlight and nature. So, and a lot of times people are overlooking those two very important things, and they're focusing on, oh, now I need to take this supplement, I need to do that, I need to get, you know, whatever food in their diet or whatever thing, but it's very chemistry focused, and it's very thinking about chemicals and trying to manipulate chemistry in the body. And really, the chemistry happens all downstream from what's happening in the energy body. So if you give the body the healing energies that it needs from sunlight and nature, and then obviously good healthy food, then everything is going to take care of itself. So, and detoxifying the body. I'll go through a list. I'll talk about the, so first of all, sunlight is one of the, probably the thing that I've been teaching about for, like I said, 14 years, but well before that, but I mean, globally teaching about it. And why you need to get sunlight, because it's not just the UV benefits. We know that UVB creates vitamin D in the skin if you get sun on your skin, and if your skin is working properly, as we discussed last time. If the skin is getting the energy that it needs, it's going to create copious amounts of vitamin D, which is a very important hormone that is responsible for literally every cellular process in the body and boosting immune function. So now, in the last few weeks, I've been really, talking about, the importance of vitamin D for staying healthy and beating COVID-19. It's important all the time. It's not just important for, immune function. It's important for everything. So keeping your vitamin D levels optimized is very important. Unfortunately, a lot of people, we've been conditioned for the last several decades, to believe that getting sun on your body will give you cancer, but really it's the opposite that's true. Avoidance of sunshine is directly proportional to your probability of dying from anything. So the less sunshine you get, the more likely you are to die of anything. This has been scientifically researched many times, not just one study. So, and it's not just the vitamin D effect. So, and we do know that lower vitamin D levels increase probability of heart disease and cancer and all kinds of things. So again, it's a very important hormone. You can take, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying bone density issues, autoimmune disease issues, everything.
Yes, everything. Yeah, and it's been directly linked. Low levels of vitamin D have been directly linked with all of this stuff. But as I was saying, avoidance of sunshine has been directly linked with all of these things, and not necessarily just the vitamin D component. So there's a lot more to sunshine than just the UV, UVA, UVB. The UVB is what creates the vitamin D. If you get UVA and UVB together, your body creates a lot more vitamin D. So again, getting the whole formulation in the sunshine aspect is better than trying to take, like a UVB lamp and make vitamin D that way. It's like you actually get a lot more when you get the UVA and the UVB together. So there are aspects of sunlight that work synergistically together. So, and it's not just, like I said, it's not just the UV. So I always use my handy dandy rainbow to explain this, that these colors are found within sunshine all the time. So the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet that you see whenever there's a rainbow in the sky, the only time you see the color split up like this is when there are these water droplets left in the atmosphere. And that's what causes that prism, that Newton prism effect, where the water droplets reflect and refract the white light coming through the water droplets, and then they split up into the 7 spectral colors. So that's why you see this rainbow effect. But these colors are always in the white light that is found in sunshine. You just happen to be seeing them split up here. So it's like people think, it's, we're getting all these colors with the rainbow. The colors are always there. When you add all of those colors together, they turn into white light. If you watch any of my talks, I have imagery, and I show the when you put these colors together at a minimum, red, green, and blue, which is used in all of our LED screens, that creates white light. So when you have RGB screens, LED is all our LED screens make all the colors by using just 3 colors, red, green, and blue. So you need those at a minimum to be able to make all the other colors. But in sunlight, we're getting red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet all the time. Every single one of these frequencies or wavelengths, same idea, just a different word for it, they all have different healing properties. Well, a lot of them, there's a lot of overlap with them. So you'll have a range of wavelengths that will do this, and they may also do this, this, and this, and a range of wavelengths that will do that. So a lot of times people get all caught up and, oh, it has to be this particular number. No, it has to be within that range. And then there are optimal numbers within that range for doing certain things. And then when you combine them together, synergistically, they're even more powerful. So, and like I said, you know, getting UVB by itself, yes, it creates vitamin D in the skin. When you get it together with UVA, it's much more, it creates a lot more vitamin D. And of course, the important thing is you don't want to put sunscreen on your body until you have that minimum daily requirement. So you have to get your minimum RDA of sunshine directly on your skin before you put on, ideally, a non-toxic, non-nanoparticle zinc oxide sunscreen, because a lot of sunscreens become carcinogenic when they're exposed to sunshine, which is very ironic. But and a lot of people don't know that. So they're slathering all this stuff on them. I don't want to get cancer. I don't want to get cancer. It's like, well, the stuff you're putting on your skin is probably going to give you cancer more than the sun will. So anyway, and when you put that stuff on, then you're blocking the healing rays of sunshine. And you can put a non-toxic sunscreen on after you've had your minimum daily requirement. So the other video that we did, I go into detail about that, right? So I want to focus on the benefits of all of these things for boosting immune function. Otherwise, we'll be here for, how long did we talk last time? 2.5 hours or something.
We're getting lots of loves up our screen.
Oh, good. That's good. Good when people express their love. You're sharing helpful information for them. Okay, so not just the physical benefits of vitamin D, like I said, all of these other benefits, you know, and again, I'll be talking about different ones, but, you know, in red, near infrared, you know, those have kind of really caught on as far as the healing benefits and the mitochondrial stimulation of those particular wavelengths. There's a lot more. It's not just the red and near infrared that have these healing benefits. It's all of the wavelengths. It's just that from my teachings, when I was presenting the research, I had a huge chunk of research that was done around red and a fairly good chunk around blue. So those were the two that really caught on. And then everybody kind of latched on to, oh, this whole, you know, aspect of the healing benefits of red and near infrared. So that's, again, what really took off. But there are equal benefits to all of the other colors. And we're not going to talk about all of that. We can talk about that another time when we go and break down the individual colors. But so the other thing that sunshine is very good for it with regards to boosting immunity is it's a very strong anti-stressor, anti-anxiety, and antidepressant. Go ahead.
Getting messages that nobody can hear our sound.
Uh-oh.
Are you guys hearing our sound? Can somebody there? Well, we've got 7 people watching right now, and we had 8 a minute ago. I don't think that it could all be no sound. Are people getting sound on Facebook? Can you let us know?
We'll just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you hear us? Let me turn up my volume on my phone.
Maybe it was just a glitch because I've now got this person saying they can hear, so it's fine. Sorry about that.
I just checked on my phone. I turned up the volume, and yes, it is good. Oh, Micah, thank you. The sound is perfect. If I start looking at messages, I'll like completely lose my train of thought. And you've seen me, I already go off on tangents all the time. So we don't want me doing that. So when I do my creative, my certified practitioner training sessions, I tell people, it's like, don't try chatting with me. It's like, you have to come and turn on your audio if you want to ask a question, because there's no way I can be managing the chat and the talking and sharing all this information and trying to read your questions. So I'm usually, So yeah, I'm not going to look at that, but yes, I was getting audio. So the other thing, the depression, anxiety, anti-stress aspects of sunshine, it's been scientifically researched that it's a more effective antidepressant than antidepressant drugs. So people are taking all these medications, which then are designed intentionally to make you addicted to them. So once you start taking an antidepressant, it's very hard to get off of them. You really have to do it in a very controlled way and wean yourself, well, or work with your doctor to wean yourself. So it's better to, you know, use the healing energies and sunshine in nature to not need that chemical manipulation. Some people, you know, if they're that extreme, then that can help to give them enough time to come back into balance naturally. But you always want to address these problems at the root. So if you have to take a medication, then take it for as long as it, but work, you know, to bring your body back into balance and get rid of the drug. So because the drug is going to cause new problems. So let's see, the antidepressive aspects, again, of boosting immunity, the sleep benefits of getting blue light during the day. It's very important to get blue light. A lot of people have demonized blue light. Again, you know, I started teaching about way before this was known publicly about these blue light photoreceptors. It was brand new research. It had just come out and it hadn't really gotten much exposure when the tablets started coming out and people started getting insomnia. That's what I was like, what's going on here? Why are so many people telling me they're getting insomnia since they got their iPad? Because it wasn't happening with the Kindles, which were the e-ink technology, which doesn't emit blue light. It's not a backlit technology. It's a black versus gray, completely different technology with no backlighting. So they weren't getting blasted with light using the first Kindles. But as soon as the iPad started coming out, people started telling me, it's like, God, I can't, like, I got an iPad and now I'm like up all night. I can't go to sleep. So I started digging and come to find out that we have these blue light photoreceptors in our eyes and that they are tuned to a specific band of wavelengths, not just one, but a whole band of wavelengths between blue and blue-green that correlate with the color of blue sky. So when we see those wavelengths, it tells our body it's the middle of the day, shut off melatonin production, because we should be awake in the middle of the day. We should not be sleeping in the middle of the day. The problem is that these photoreceptors cannot distinguish between natural frequencies of blue light coming from sunlight versus artificial frequencies of, you know, LED or any other light bulb, incandescent light bulb, which all have blue light in them, because you can't have white light without blue light. Another misconception that people think, oh, incandescent's better because, you know, it doesn't stimulate. It's like every white light has blue light in it by definition. We need the blue light though during the day. It sets our circadian rhythm. If you don't have the blue light during the day and then stop exposing yourself to it at night, your body has no clue what time it is. So the blue light communicates, you know, via the photoreceptors in our eyes to the suprachiasmatic nucleus in the brain and the pineal gland, and that's what controls our circadian rhythm. So when we get blue light during the day, we feel sleepy at night, as long as you're not continuing to expose yourself to blue light or white light, which has blue light in it, or your LED screens, which have a high percentage of blue light coming through them. So it's having this knowledge. But again, getting the sunlight during the day, you're going to get the blue light that you need. Don't wear blue light blockers during the day. That's another thing. People that are selling these blue light blockers, oh, you need to block the blue light. No, not during the day. Don't be blocking the blue light. You know, take precautions so you're not getting blue light blasted into your eyes like I did, and I burned out my retinas, but then I completely healed them with the rejuvenator. So I learned the hard way, because your cell phone, you know, if you're like this all the time, you're getting a lot of blue light into your eyes, and blue light, strong blue light, can be harmful to the retina. So as can blue-green light. So anyway, that's another benefit of the sunlight, setting your circadian rhythm, improving your sleep at night. Let's see, antidepressant, yeah. Okay, we talked about that. So all of the things that I'm talking about, the rejuvenator, for people when they don't have the option to do these things that we should be doing on a daily basis, the rejuvenator, which is a light therapy and quantum healing light device that I designed, developed, invented 3.5 years ago, launched it 3.5 years ago. This has all of the things that I'm going to be talking about. This can do also. So there's a sleep protocol for putting you to sleep at night. It actually stimulates melatonin production. You do it at night before you go to bed. There's in anti-depression, anti-stress, anti-anxiety protocol. It's extremely effective. So it doesn't boost vitamin D, well, that we know of. It has all of these other benefits for moderating and changing hormonal, like excess, thyroid, hypothyroid, deficient melatonin levels, testosterone levels. So all of these things that we've actually had scientifically tested where people have done befores and afters. So it directly affecting all kinds of hormones in the body and bringing them back into balance, whether they're in excess or deficient. So, but I'm going to talk about the things that you can do if you don't have a rejuvenator, and if you do. So I'm going to kind of make two different like suggestions. When you can't get out in sunshine and you're stuck indoors, and maybe you're in an office and you don't have time, you have a break or something like that, and you go outside during your breaks, have your lunch outdoors if you can. Get as much of that exposure to sunshine as you can, even if it's through your eyes or on your body, because it's all going to have healing benefits. Of course, everything in moderation. If you're very fair-skinned, you're not going to want to burn, so don't overdo it. But there are ways to protect yourself. But you get all kinds of benefits just from going out during the daytime, even if it's a cloudy day, even if it's overcast. It will be, I tell people, do this little experiment. Go from being indoors with all of your lights turned on inside your house, and then, in the middle of the day, or even late morning, early afternoon, whatever, go outside, and you'll see that even with all of your lights on in your house, where you think it's really bright in here, you go outside, it's much brighter, even when it's overcast and cloudy, unless it's like, really black skies. But that's how much more light you get when you're outdoors versus indoors. And it's obviously natural, healthy sunshine light. So, do you have a question, Joe? I'll just keep going. Jump in every once in a while.
We've been talking a lot, and I think it would be great for people to understand what melatonin does. Besides help to reset your ability to sleep, it's also amazing antidepressant and all the rest, right?
Yes, and a very important antioxidant in the body. So there's been research done that when people have cancer, when they have deficient melatonin levels, that's when the cancer can grow out of control. They've actually increased melatonin, and then the cancer starts dying off. So when your melatonin levels are, and again, it's an important hormone. It's, again, not just responsible for sleep. It has this very strong antioxidant aspect where it's keeping your body healthy. So our body we're always getting cancer cells. I mean, everybody, it's something, like something that forms in the body, and then a healthy immune function will kill it before it, get rid of those cells. They're mutant cells. The body will get rid of them before they can proliferate and turn into a tumor. But when the body's not getting the energy that it needs, it's out of balance, it's not producing the hormones. Again, this is, from the chemistry aspect, but it's upstream from there where things get out of whack. Again, why are the melatonin levels low? Well, because if you're exposed to blue light all day long, blue light in your, artificial lighting in your office or being outdoors, but then the problem isn't the daytime blue light, unless it's too much of it and you're getting it right blasted in your eyes from your electronic devices. It's that you keep getting blue light at night. So your blue light exposure should drop off as soon as it hits dusk. And that's where there are these programs, like Flux for computers. They're now pretty much all the smartphones and tablets have a night mode. So it will eliminate the blue light exposure, dramatically reduce it. So technology evolves as science becomes, more known. And that's why I started teaching about this. It's like, because back then, all the cell phones just had very bright blue light, blue tinted light. So when you cut out the blue, the whole color palette changes. So you reduce the amount of blue light exposure, and then you're not getting bombarded with this blue light. That's telling your body to shut off melatonin production. Again, very important hormone and antioxidant. And it's all directly correlated with all kinds of things in serotonin production, melatonin serotonin relationship. Anyway, I'm not going to get into all of that. We can go down a whole rabbit hole with that. But so that's where the depression comes in. And mood cycles and all kinds of things, PMS, and all kinds of things have been directly correlated with that. So very important to have healthy melatonin levels. So again, and the Rejuvenator does that. It boosts the melatonin levels by doing the sleep protocol at night. So, and during the day, we're getting this high percentage of blue light, you know, but what happens is at night, as the sun is setting, and at dawn, when the sun is coming up, we get a predominance of red, orange, and yellow wavelengths coming through the atmosphere, the thicker atmosphere, because they're longer wavelengths, and only the red, orange, and yellow can come through when the sun is lower on the horizon. As the sun gets higher up in the sky, then the blue, green, violet, they start, indigo violet, they start coming through, and that's when the sky then, you know, goes from red, orange, yellow at dawn. It starts becoming more and more blue, 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 and then red, orange, yellow again until the sun sets. And again, because we've got all these wavelengths that are always in sunlight, and some of them come through more strongly at different times of day. So the thing about where people are like, oh, well, you should get sun in the morning, or you should be before 10 and after 2, or, you know, because a lot of this is old information. It's like, no, really, you need to get sunlight throughout the day. You need it. It's like, you know, the multivitamin effect, where you're getting the sampler plate. I need some in the morning, I need some in the late morning, I need some in midday, I need some, you know, because we used to be out in nature all the time. We used to get sunlight all day long, and then we'd be indoors, and then you've got candlelight at night, red, fire, you know, at night, red, after the setting sun. So we naturally start to get sleepy when we see red at night. So, and again, with the Rejuvenator, when you put it directly on your body at night, it literally stimulates melatonin production. So for people that are really deficient, including elderly people, but you can use sunshine to do that also. So it takes a little while for your body to retrain. Not that long. Actually, they've done research where when people go out and they're camping and they get in sync with the cycles of nature, it takes less than a week. I believe it's 4 days to fully get back into sync with nature. But again, no electronics, no artificial light that's throwing off your circadian rhythm, where you're just going with the cycles of nature. I've talked about the importance of, you know, following those cycles of nature for triggering flow state if you want to do it naturally. I also teach people how to get into flow at will, which is the zone. But again, I could go off on all kinds of tangents. I'm going to try to stay focused because I'm only on step 1 so far. Any of these we can delve into more deeply in other talks. Okay, so sunshine, number 1, fresh air and nature. Extremely important. Getting out and getting fresh air. Being stuck indoors, this whole thing, stay at home, stay indoors, is just like the worst thing for people. I mean, being stuck indoors and breathing in recycled air, many times people don't even have very well filtered air. So they're breathing in all the stale, unhealthy air. Your lungs need to have the air clean air and change the air in your lungs. Otherwise, your immune function, you know, lungs are the first line of defense against all of these external pathogens. So if your lung energy is weak, then you're going to be so much more susceptible to these external pathogens. So staying stuck indoors, it's just like, that's weakening your immune system right there. So getting outdoors, getting fresh air, and this thing about where they're closing beaches and closing parks is like terrible. People need to be able to go and have, you know, exposure in outdoor spaces and breathe clean air and be in contact with nature, not stay indoors and stuck in your little apartment, especially in, you know, some countries like Italy, where people live in these tiny apartments, and it's like you can't leave your house other than if you have to go to the grocery store. Anyway, really bad advice. So getting fresh air, and not just sunshine, but the healing energies in nature. So whether that's walking by the ocean or being out in the woods. There's also research that shows, scientific research, there was a study even done in 2015 that shows, again, the direct correlation between anti-anxiety, anti-stress, and anti-depression when you are this separate from the sunshine part, just with people doing a 90-minute walk in nature versus doing a 90-minute walk in urban city areas. completely different. Brain responds completely differently. This, the prefrontal cortex, actually, the activity in it drops way down. This is where people have the ruminating thoughts, and you get into those loops, and then you get stressed, and then you create more stress, and that stress, guess what, tanks your immune function, because cortisol production and being in that fight or flight state, you have no immune response, because by evolutionary definition, it's like if you're being chased by a giant tiger, your body's like, I'm not worried about digesting my meal or healing my body right now. I just need to get away and keep myself alive. So when you're in that fight or flight mode, that's all your body's doing. It's like, it's just in survival mode. Can't be doing anything else. Can't be fending off other, bacterial, viral pathogens, whatever. Can't be digesting your food. So when people have all these digestion problems because they're so stressed out all the time, guess what? It's because the body's going, that's not important right now because there's a giant tiger chasing you. Oh, there's not really? That's just in your head. Well, I can't tell the difference. So, I'm gonna I'm making a decision for the whole system. So again, the body cannot distinguish between, the fight or flight state of a real danger or a real physical danger versus a perceived one. And guess what? The media is great for making that perceived sense of danger and fear and stimulating, keeping people in that fear state. So when you're watching the news and you're just gobbling up all that negative news and all that fear mongering, you are doing yourself harm, directly. So make a choice to not do that. Being aware of what's happening. It's a lot easier to control the population when they're in a state of fear. It's so much easier to do that. When you keep people in that agitated, freaked out state, they're much more malleable. So yeah, don't expose, especially if you watch the news first thing in the morning, especially watching versus reading. Reading, again, scientifically shown that when you read things in the news, you're better able to moderate it, not get triggered into that fight or flight state. When you watch video with, these fearful messages, it goes directly in, and it's a much stronger impact. So, and when you do things like that first thing in the morning, it sets the tone for your entire day. And you do that a couple days in a row, guess what? Now that sets the tone for your entire week. And then it sets the tone for every single waking and sleeping moment of your life. And being in that fearful state, again, shuts off your immune function. So again, you're going to be susceptible to any pathogen that you come in contact with, whether it's COVID or something else. So making sure that you are putting in good positive energy. I'll talk about that more in a little bit. But so we're talking about breathing in clean air and getting out in nature. So the healing energies in nature, again, are separate from the healing energies in sunshine. You need both, but they're two distinct different things. So that feeling that you get when you're in nature, where you feel amazing. Joe, you've mentioned before, how do you feel when you go out in nature?
Exactly.
I like the way you described it last time.
Well, to tell you the truth, after we had our lockdown, and allowed out for a moment, are you hearing all right?
Yes, but you're kind of breaking up. I'm getting every other word. I'm not really sure, because before no problem. Right now you're kind of breaking up. I don't know if I'm the only one experiencing that, but go ahead. Just repeat what you said.
So after lockdown, we'd had this big lockdown, and then we were allowed out for a time. And I had to go into Abu Dhabi, and there was a row of trees, and I parked near this row of trees, and I walked, and I could feel the leaves just above my head. And it was like an ecstasy. It was so profound from being locked down.
Yeah.
Feeling those trees above me. The whole presence was magical. It was really special. Yeah, it was such a, that longing to be out.
Right.
And then, we've got balconies, and I've got a tree nearby, but it's just so incredible.
Yes, it's not the same when you're fully immersed in nature. Well, what you're getting an abundance of when you're in nature, or you're next to an ocean, not in the middle of a city and there's an ocean. You may be going out into the ocean, but on a boat. But when you're surrounded by nature, you're getting an abundance of life force energy, different names for it in different cultures, chi, prana, ki. It's basically that life force energy that distinguishes you, Joe, sitting here alive and talking to me, versus Joe dead laying on a slab. You know, the only difference you could, if you drop dead right now, we're not wishing that by any means, but but if you did, that would be the only difference between your body right now and like 5 minutes from now, where you're dead and you have none of that life force energy. But everything, you know, the chemistry and all of that and everything in your body is going to be the same. It's going to start changing, but the only thing that distinguishes you, the living being, from you, the dead body corpse on a slab, is that life force energy. And we need that. And that's another thing that people don't think in terms of the importance of getting, that's what, like, again, I like to use this analogy. You know, we have these cell phones, fabulous devices, very useful. They have a battery in them, right? The battery, they don't have technology yet that has these batteries that can go. So typically, you know, if you have a brand new phone, it might go for 2 days before you need to charge it up, like the Samsung did. Other phones from day one, you have to, like, every day you have to charge them, but you have to put energy back into the battery because you use up the energy in the phone. And depending on how much screen time you're using, how much surfing of the web, how many phone calls you're doing, I never do it again next to my head. I hold it like this on speakerphone. But depending on how much you're using your phone, you may have to charge up your battery even before, like, you know, wind down for the day. So it may not last all the way until, you know, 10 or 11 o'clock at night. You might have to charge it up if you're using it a lot. And if the battery gets older, it doesn't hold the charge as long. So it's just like, we're just like that. You know, you can keep your battery nice and strong, but the problem is people often just let their battery get so depleted. Another analogy I like to use is, like, this is our car in life, and we have a gas tank that holds our life force energy, and you can keep that gas tank nice and topped off. You know, you don't ever let it go, you know, like, you know, with a car, if you let your gas tank get super low, that's when it starts to pick up all that sludge that's in the bottom of the tank. It's really bad for your engine and all that. So you don't want to ever let your gas tank get so low that it's picking up that cruddy stuff. But that's what often happens, where people just get more and more depleted, and then they feel like they're running on fumes. They're just tired all the time. They just don't have any energy. And then if they get sick, or they get a wound, or they get an injury, it just takes forever to heal. Or they catch a cold and it takes a really long time. I mean, they may be sick for weeks or months with the same cold. They just can't beat the cold because guess what? Their gas tank is way too low. They're not filling up that gas tank. So you need a way to fill up that life force energy gas tank. And the way that we used to do it before everybody lived in cities, we would have exposure to nature, and you can fill up your gas tank very quickly when you go out in nature. If you're super depleted, you know, spending a week immersed in nature is going to do wonders for you. That's where, when people get so my God, my kitten's over there, like, digging underneath the blanket. When people get so depleted, and then they get hypersensitive to everything, and then they can't be around, you know, fluorescent lighting, they can't be around Wi-Fi, they can't be around anything, because their energy body is so depleted that those energetic pathogens are like, you know, it's like, that's the straw that broke the camel's back. You're here, you're like super low, and then every little thing, you know, oh, now I got, you know, I was near Wi-Fi, or I went into a shopping mall and I just got zapped. And if your level is so low, it just, there's no buffer room. So you just go, boom, zero, knocks you out. And you're like, oh, I'm so exhausted, I have to go home. If you have a nice full gas tank, guess what? You can take those hits, not feel anything. It's like, you know, you don't want to be doing it all the time because it will, like, zap your energy, but you need to be refilling that life force energy gas tank. So again, that's what the Rejuvenator does, because it's much more than just a light therapy device. I realized that it's not enough just to get the sunlight, because if you're in sunlight in the middle of New York City, you're still getting bombarded with all those toxic energies and the pollution and all the stuff. You know, your lung energy is struggling because it's breathing in, you know, stale toxic air full of pollutants and stuff like that. So you need to have that clean energy and clean air. Not just the sunlight. So again, sunbathing in the middle of New York City versus sunbathing out, you know, on, you know, in the Caribbean or something where there's not a big city right next to you, or sunbathing in the mountains where you're getting this clean, you know, all these beautiful trees that are giving off that life force energy. You can literally feel it. And even people that aren't naturally, we're all energy sensitive, just a lot of us have kind of, you know, shut it off over time because it's not something that's really trained in our culture. I've done immense amounts of training with well, I'm naturally sensitive because I'm a kinesthetic empath, but it was a problem when I was a child because being so energy sensitive to everything, and I didn't know how to moderate it. But then as I got older, I learned how to moderate it and then control it and then utilize it and channel it. But we as a culture have kind of gotten disconnected from that aspect of being able to tune in with those healing energies. So, but people, every time I ask anybody, how does it feel when you go out in the woods? They're like, oh, it feels great. It feels energizing and relaxing. And like you said the last time, you said, you know, and this is, I love that because it is exactly what it's doing. It makes you feel reconnected to yourself. You feel like, oh, this is me, you know? You don't bring your phone with you and you're like constantly focused on the phone. Like, put your phone down, go out in the woods by yourself, breathe in the clean air and tune in with that healing energy, that chi, prana, life force energy that you're surrounded with, and just like drink it in, because guess what? That's going to fill up your gas tank. And, you know, and unfortunately, we don't all have the capability of doing that every day. So that's again where it's like the rejuvenator. You keep filling up your gas tank when you've already healed all of the other things. You keep topping off your gas tank because it feels amazing. You don't have to make yourself do it. It just feels as good as when you go out in nature because you want to do that, you know. And we have these great intentions. Well, I'm going to spend more time in nature. I'm going to drive, you know, because a lot of times we don't even have somewhere nearby if we're like deeply immersed in the city. You have to get in your car and drive somewhere to go find some nature. And how many of us are doing that, you know? But when people understand the importance of doing that, and that we used to get so much more exposure to nature, and we used to work in harmony with nature and live off the land, you know, and evolution and the way that societies and cities and all of that have evolved, we're getting less and less connected with nature, more and more disconnected from nature. So, and that's where more and more disease happens. So again, not just sunlight, it's also the healing energies in nature, because the analogy of, you know, laying in the sun in the middle of New York City, that's, I mean, there's going to be some benefit to that because you're getting some sunshine, but all of those other things are siphoning off that life force energy gas tank constantly. So, you know, the chaos and that chaotic energy, that's another thing too, because chaotic energy will very quickly siphon off life force energy, just like stress will. If you have a stressful experience, a stressful day, a stressful job, stressful relationship, that's zapping you constantly. So it's like, you know, somebody's sucking all the life force energy gas out of your gas tank constantly, you know, through a straw. And then you've got 50 of these straws. And guess what? Watching the media, that's putting in about, I don't know, 5 or 6 more straws, you know, that are just sucking off the life force energy. So, so that is the second thing: fresh air, nature, and then sunshine. Do you want any question? Since
yes.
I know you kind of have to like just talk and wave at me or something. I'll just keep going. I just go.
Speak about flow and flow state specialist.
Oh, okay. Well, we're talking about immune function, so I can talk about flow in conjunction with how it boosts immune function. So again, I teach people how to get into flow state at will, which is the zone, that hyper focused state of awareness where everything goes click, 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 and everything feels effortless and just moves forward. When you are working on something and you go boom, 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 boom. So that also, we have seen that when people are operating in flow state, or where they're able to get into flow state, and going into nature also is one of the things that I teach, is like, this is going to facilitate getting into flow state. Also, the more time you spend in nature, even without the techniques that I teach. So that boosts immune function. Being in flow, we've seen where people have just done something, like some practice that gets them into flow state. One thing that they've actually scientifically researched is meditation. meditation or some type of meditative act, which is just another word for flow. So meditation, runner's high, the zone, the groove for musicians, doing things that are constantly getting you into flow has a very healing benefit to the body. And yeah, again, directly boosting immune function. So we've seen where people have had some kind of life-threatening illness, and then they find something, some activity or sport or walking in nature, and then they start healing just from doing that because they're getting into flow. And again, it's like, it's shutting off the left side of the brain. Left side of the brain is logical, linear, analytical. That part of your brain also, that when you're stuck thinking at night and you're ruminating and you're thinking, you know, one little thing that then turns into this giant, it's like a squirrel in a spinning wheel, you know, and it's like, you can't stop thinking about it. And there's that prefrontal cortex again, that's like getting hyperactive, and you just get in this loop. Shutting that down, getting into the right brain, which is the creative side, the intuitive side, that's what facilitates getting into flow. So, but stopping that left brain chatter. And then, you know, when people get so caught up on getting fixated with data, where they're not able to tune in and listen to their intuition anymore, because it's like everything is data driven. It's like, I can only make a decision if I have lots and lots of spreadsheets, instead of like going, you know, my gut is telling me this is a bad decision, but the spreadsheets say it's a really good decision. So I'm going to listen to the spreadsheets, and guess what? Disaster, financial failure, whatever. I mean, it's like your gut knows. Your gut, this is the enteric brain. You know, this is the center of our being, our core, our hara, our dantian, different names for it, different again. And, but this is the energy center of the body, the abdomen, and when you have that gut feeling, and this used to be recognized in medicine. Doctors, you know, before Big Pharma came in and got rid of all this stuff about, you know, tuning in with your body, they knew that it's called the enteric brain. We process information first here, then it sends it up to our computer. Our brain is our computer. That's it. It's a processor. It's for processing data, but the information comes in here first and then goes up here, and then it gets, you know, analyzed, whatever, and then, you know, here, body do this or whatever. But you know, when you've got a lion coming at you, and they've done this, where there's something that's going to trigger, even watching video, where people know before the photo, if they watch a series of photos, their body reacts to the photo before it even shows up on the screen. We have this ability to tune in. We get this information. So if there's some traumatizing photo that's about to come up, your body reacts to it before it ever even shows up on the screen. That's not the brain. That's your body is picking up that information. Again, the enteric brain. So again, I could go off on a whole tangent about that. I'll never get through my list if I do. Okay, so that's a little bit about flow. But yeah, so sunlight and getting in nature, and that also facilitates flow. That's another thing that the Rejuvenator helps with, because we have people that are like, you know, you're able to get out of that left brain stuck state. So I've had people like after a week of using it, they're like, you know, I didn't even realize I was that anxious all the time, that I was like going, your brain is like, and then they start feeling happy, and they start feeling, it's not just happiness, it's the sensation of contentedness, which is flow, where you feel peaceful and you feel at one with yourself and with the universe. You feel reconnected. You feel reconnected to your core, and you feel reconnected to everything around us. And we're all interconnected. And when you can reconnect that way, that's when your intuition speaks to you loud and clear. And you don't need, guess what? You don't need a bunch of spreadsheets, because you get the information right here. And so that's another thing I teach people. It's like how to hear and that intuition, how to reconnect with it, how to trust it, how to listen to it. Because then everything literally flows in your life. It becomes so effortless. And I have so many stories where it's like, just think, you know, like when I became a professional artist, I wasn't planning to become a professional artist. I had no plans to become a professional artist. I just started painting because I was looking for a flow outlet, like a way to tap into flow. And I wanted to paint abstracts. I didn't want to be doing left brain stuff that, you know, painting still lifes, which were really boring. I already knew how to draw. I don't really care about drawing with paint. I want to use paint to get into flow, and I want to express myself using color. And I wasn't trying to control the process and say, oh, I know that this color does this. I painted with whatever colors I was craving. And that whatever I was craving, that would then catapult me into flow if I started feeding that deficit, because I'm craving the color because I need that color. So I start feeding that color craving and then get catapulted into flow, and I start painting these paintings. And I'm a beginner painter, and I'm painting these paintings that are way beyond what, you know, like nobody taught me how to do this. I just tapped in and I'm basically, you know, my arms and my body are moving, and I know what I'm supposed to do, but I'm not trying to control the process. I'm not trying to get logical or linear, and I'm not trying to make it look like, you know, a plant or a pot or a guitar. I'm just letting whatever wants to be expressed come forth. So that was how it all started. And then just because I was getting into flow all the time, I had people approaching me, finding me from, all I did was put up a small handful of photos of my paintings on a website with no SEO, like this website in the sea of gazillions of websites, and people started finding me. International curators started finding me. Decor magazine started finding me and approaching me and offering me these opportunities, like, you know, international exhibitions and being the featured artist in the magazine. I'm like, this is weird. Are you like trying to sell me advertising, or no, we want you to be the featured artist? But anyway, again, that's because I was getting into flow on a regular basis. When you're in flow, you're broadcasting that information out there, and people then that are in sync with that energy are finding you. So it really was an effortless trajectory to become, you know, to go from beginner painting to six-figure earning professional artist in a very short period of time. And people ask me all the time, how did you do that? How did you find people to show your work? It's like, I didn't ever have to try to find somebody. People kept finding me. And all I had to do was follow my intuition and sift through all of the opportunities that were coming at me and make wise decisions about where I wanted to spend my limited energies and time, you know, going for these opportunities. And I made a decision, or I'm going to be a very successful collector oriented artist, not a starving artist. And I got rid of that paradigm. So what you bring in is as important as what you refuse to allow in. So I did not allow the belief system, the paradigm of the starving artist. I said, I'm not buying into that. There are lots of successful artists. There are lots of people with a lot of money that want to buy good art. So the whole thing, oh, I'm a good artist and nobody wants to buy my work, and, you know, the man with the money, blah, 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 bad person. Like, no, get rid of all that. It's like, it doesn't serve you. So yeah, that's my little aside about flow, and when you are in flow and how you attract those opportunities, whatever it is, whether in, you know, applying it to your business, because I do that all the time as well. So, but again, that's a whole different discussion, but it is important to get into flow for boosting the immune function. Okay, now I'm going to talk about food, because food is very important. Food, clean food, healthy food, food that's as close to the source as possible. So, you know, vegetables, fruit, ideally humanely sourced proteins, animal proteins, things, as soon as things get more refined and manufactured, they get further away from their natural food state. So they have less of that life force energy in them. The closer they are to the real, you know, like picking a vegetable or cutting a vegetable like right off the plant, that has the most life force energy, especially obviously when those plants are ripened in sunshine. Because if they're made to grow in artificial environments, and then they use some kind of gas to make fruits ripen, because they do that, they'll often, and they're not ripened under sunlight, that produce, those fruits, those vegetables actually have been shown to have less of that, well, biophotons in the biophotonic realm. So Dr. Fritz Albert Popp has done research in that whole realm since 1972. I can get off on a whole tangent about biophotons. Chickens that are living free range, have time outdoors, actually get in cage free. They're not getting sunshine. That just means they're kept indoors, and they're on these platforms, and they're all pooping on top of each other. But they're not stuck in cages, but they're still indoors on these platforms, so they're not technically in cages, but they don't get to go outdoors. If it has to say free range. So free range means that they get to go outdoors, they get sunshine. Those eggs have also been shown to be healthier lower cholesterol, more nutritional value. Again, in the biophotonics realm, this has been actually scientifically studied. So sun-ripened fruits and vegetables, just like you want to be ripened in the sun, right? So to be healthy. So the closer the food is to the way that it comes off the tree or out of the ground or from the animal, that is going to be healthier for you. Certain things that people believe are healthy are not always going to be healthy for you, like eating raw salads, for example, like raw food diets are actually going to be really hard on your system, especially if you already have spleen and stomach deficiency. So what might be good for you at certain times may actually be bad for you at other times. So eating raw salads or raw vegetables when you have spleen and stomach chi deficiency would be a bad choice. So you would want to lightly cook your vegetables, lightly steam them instead of eating them raw, which makes it a lot harder to digest and it's cold. So then your body, in an energy system that's already deficient, has to use a lot more energy to warm up that food and then break down cellulose. So lightly steamed vegetables. So although if you're perfectly in balance, you can have some raw vegetables. You just don't want to, everything in moderation. Everything should be mixed. And again, we used to eat foods that were available seasonally, depending on where on the planet we were. But now we have everything every day of the year. We've got supermarkets, things come in from everywhere. So there are certain foods that are really not optimal for you to be eating in the winter because they're not winter foods. There are foods that are designed to be, that our bodies want to eat in the winter, and there are foods that they want to eat, our bodies crave and want to eat in the summer. So again, that's a whole discussion. I could talk, for 10 hours just about that. Every food has an energetic nature as well. So it's not just the chemicals that are found in those foods and the nutrients, it's also the energetic aspect of different foods that you have to be aware of. So certain foods are warming, certain foods are cooling, certain foods are good for liver energy, cleansing the liver, like lemon, everybody knows that's really good for decreasing the liver. And it has, even though it's an acid outside the body, it has an alkalizing effect in the body, but that's again chemistry. Now, fruits and vegetables are usually neutral or cooling, not all of them, but a lot of them. Things like spices are very warming. So cinnamon, cardamom, garlic, nutmeg, turmeric, a lot of things that people take as supplements. What are some others? Ginseng. They're very warming. They're stimulating and they're very warming. If you have too much heat in your body already, like if you have rashes or dermatitis or eczema or psoriasis, they're often rooted in an imbalance of heat in the body, too much heat versus your air conditioner. So eating those warming foods will actually throw you more out of balance. And you're like, oh, it's a superfood. I'm supposed to take it every day. And I'm taking my turmeric, I'm taking my whatever it is. And people are like, my rashes keep getting worse, or I keep getting itchy all over my body. And what is it? Or like my joints keep getting tighter and stiffer. And so I'm taking this stuff, it's supposed to help with that, but I'm actually getting worse. Dairy is another thing that will throw you out of balance pretty quickly. So an excess of dairy, if you're perfectly in balance, you can have some dairy, but having dairy every day, cheese, milk, very bad. It's like creates phlegm in the body. So phlegm is, enemy of the lungs. So when you're trying to clear phlegm from your system, the lungs are just going, oh my God, I can't keep up with this. So, what happens when you have a cold or flu? You get all that phlegm. And with COVID, it's like, that's the thing. It's like people get all this phlegm and congestion in their lungs and then they can't breathe. So we've had a number of people in the community that had a rejuvenator and they started off thinking that they had a cold, or one was allergies. Another one was just kind of feeling this general sense of malaise. So, and we've had a handful of different people now that have gotten, the virus, COVID, whether it's a virus or bacteria, we still don't know that. And well, yeah, that's, we can go off on that whole tangent too. But so they thought oh, this is just allergies. So they started off, the runny nose, and there was a lot of overlap with the symptoms as well. And then the, sore throat and the fever, and then it goes into congestion, then it goes to like, now I can't breathe, and I'm laying down, I can't breathe. And all three of these people, they got to that point where they couldn't breathe. And one actually, they talked to their healthcare provider and said, you need to come into the hospital, but you have to come by yourself. You cannot come with anybody. And now, and so she was like terrified. It's like, I'm by myself. I can't go in. I can't have anybody with me, and I'm going to be surrounded by sick people. So all three of them, after they got to that level where it's like, I can't breathe. I'm like, like one described it as I've got an elephant sitting on my chest. That's when they all said, I've got this rejuvenator. And the intuition clicks in. It's like, okay, get the rejuvenator. They start treating their chest, and guess what? One of them, he said 40 minutes, the fever that had gone like this all day long, it just kept climbing. And by nighttime, he's like, I've got an elephant on my chest. I can't breathe. 40 minutes, like knocked it down. By the next day, the fever was gone. All the congestion was clear. Never came back. The other two, they had their symptom, and his symptoms had only been like about 3 days where he felt like something was coming on. He could feel it, but he wasn't feeling, and a little bit of like runny nose. But not like the other two. They had one had 5 days of symptoms where she thought it was allergies, and they just kept getting worse. And she was able, because I had taught her how to use a nasal flush to clear the nasal passages, but it had already gone down into her lungs. So she's like, yeah, the saltwater flush is working for clearing the nasal passages, but it's in my throat, it's in my lungs, I can't breathe. So then, and two of them I was working with in real time as this was going on. So I'm like getting all this very helpful data, and I'm like, here, this is what you need to do. So both of them, they knock out the congestion, knock out all of that phlegm and all that, where you can't breathe, gets rid of it. And then both of them, they stopped. I'm like, okay, you need to keep doing treatments, keep maintenance, because you don't want this thing to come back, because that's one of the things with this virus or bacteria, whatever. It has a tendency to, like, it goes, the symptoms go down and then they flare up again. So both of them, again, a few days later, symptoms come back, and because they stopped doing treatments, it's like you need to like knock it down. You need to get it out of there. So, and I told them both at this point, you need to do the detox protocol, and you need to treat the chest, because that's going to detoxify. Anyway, so they did that, knocked it out completely. But I got a lot of very helpful information, because what I learned is that it's also attacking liver and gallbladder energy, not just the lungs and not just spleen and stomach, because it's all very common that people have nausea. These are some symptoms that are not being reported on the World Health Organization website. The ones that, or severe intense headaches. There's only about, 15 to 20% of people. This was several weeks ago when I looked that up, because I'm looking, are these symptoms of COVID? Because nobody, it's not on the general limited list of what the common symptoms are. Severe intense headache when you're going through all of this stuff. Again, gallbladder. Very tight, like almost like you have a kink in your neck, that where it gets all blocked, often in conjunction with a sore throat. So I had that several weeks ago. Actually, for me, it was after just 2 days where I was kind of going nonstop. And I've been doing the rejuvenator almost, at first I started doing it every day, because for boosting immune function, normally I do treatments like 2 or 3 times a week, just as kind of maintenance, because it feels good. You don't have to remind yourself. But then I had 2 like super busy days. I didn't do the rejuvenator, and I wasn't eating during the day. I wasn't drinking enough water. And you can really tank your immune fit, dip it down to like this level pretty quickly with just 2 days of like going nonstop. And so then on that 3rd day, I start to get this really tight sensation in my neck, and I know it's gallbladder in conjunction with the sore throat. And I wouldn't have even made the connection, except 2 days before, somebody in the group had reported the exact same thing. So I told her how to treat it, and she knocked it out. And I got the, but before, she didn't answer the question right away. And then, because she said my neck got really tight, she didn't say where it was. And then I had this tight neck, and now I've talked to other people that have had the same thing. It's like, I had the same thing, and I thought maybe I slept on my neck wrong, and I got a sore throat, and my neck was killing me. And but anyway, so, and again, these are people with the rejuvenator. I just did a treatment, and then it was better. So I did a treatment that night. I did the sleep protocol, the detox protocol in the abdomen, and then the next day, all gone, didn't come back. But I've been making sure that I've been doing maintenance treatment. So with these other 2, they got the excruciating headache, and they describe it like no headache like you've ever had in your life. It just is so intense. And again, that's gallbladder meridian blockage. So so anyway, doing the detox protocol knocked all of that out. So we've had several people now that have almost certainly gotten it, because their doctors even said it sounds like you have it, or it sounds like you had it, then now self-quarantine. So again, and these were during the bulk of when everything was going on. And and we have lots of people that have just, knocked it out completely. Other people that waited until it got so bad. It's like, oh, let me start using my rejuvenator. Like I've got this thing right here. But so yeah, knowing that you have something that can help, that's also really reassuring and encouraging. So we have I have elderly people in our rejuvenator community, because I have a huge community with people all around the world, and they all can connect with each other and talk to each other, and that's where everybody shares these amazing healing stories. So we have a bunch of elderly people that are like, you know what, I feel so much stronger and healthier now since I started using the rejuvenator a few months ago. I'm not even worried about this thing. If I get it, I'll be like, I'll knock it out in a heartbeat. So getting the fear factor out is really important, because when people are like, oh my God, I'm terrified, and the way that they were describing it, it's you feel like you're drowning, and you're like, I was terrified. I'm like, holy cow, like, come on, you have to not get this. And then when I realized, it's like, okay, it's getting to the point where it's serious, because it can get very serious very quickly. And if you're not doing anything to address it, or you're just trying to address it with pharmaceuticals, then it will snowball out of control very quickly, especially for people that have a pre-existing condition, underlying immune deficiencies. They're the ones that are at the most risk. So that's why I developed a whole immune boosting protocol very early on. And that's why I'm like, here, everybody should be doing these treatments. That will, if your tank isn't full yet, this is going to really top it up. So start, be proactive and focus on that. And this is also a really good opportunity to pay attention to your diet. If you've been eating crappy food and refined foods and processed foods, or if you've been taking a lot of supplements that really you don't ever need, all these supplements that people spend thousands of dollars on, you don't need any of that. It's like, if you're eating real food and your body is working properly to assimilate the nutrients from the healthy foods, because that's what happens, is like spleen and stomach energy gets weak, liver gallbladder energy gets toxic and slows down, and you can't take in the nutrients from the food that you're eating, or the water, and it's in charge of assimilating nutrients from the food and transforming fluids. So if you ever have that feeling where you're bloated after you eat, that's spleen and stomach energy is weak. If you feel like you gain weight and you can't lose weight no matter how many calories you cut, you get cellulite or beer belly in men, that spleen and stomach energy is weak. So you want to do what you can to support that. So and eating real food is important. But if you have a lot of toxins built up in the system, like people with Lyme disease, a lot of other chronic illnesses, it's like the body is just like loaded with toxins. So you have to have a way to detoxify. So that's, again, the rejuvenator does that. You can do things like, juice fasts and other things like that, easing into it though. You don't want to dump too many toxins too fast. If you're like overloaded with toxins, you want to do it gradually. So it's not like now it's a race. I've been, decades of eating kind of crappy food and decades of stress, that all of that blocks that free flow of energy. So, and again, I share all of this in the group, so it's not like you have to, memorize all this. It's like people get to ask questions in the group. And but what you can do if you don't have a rejuvenator, these are things that you can do. And again, this is a really good opportunity, because so many people like shut down. You guys still are, really shut down. In the United States, things are like almost back to normal here in Austin. I mean, so many businesses have reopened, and people are going out and wearing masks, but practicing social distancing, but it's almost like it used to be. And we're not getting, like, tons of people aren't getting sick. Guess what? And when you have people that are reporting the numbers and saying that pretty much everything that people used to die from, nobody's dying from those things anymore. Everybody's dying from COVID. So it's a little bit fishy. The numbers are being manipulated. And then all the people that are getting it and healing and recovering completely, they're not even being factored into the denominator, the base number. So all of the numbers that they're being manipulated to have a lot more people dying from COVID than they actually are. And then a lot of the people that are getting it and healing aren't being factored into the numbers either. So it's just, that's a whole different discussion. We can go off and talk about all of that, the incentives for doing that. But my goal is to just help people to understand, it's like, you have a lot more power than you think, and you're in control of your body and your energy body, nobody else. So making wise choices about what you put into that body and into your mind are all going to directly make you stronger and more resistant to any pathogen, whether it's COVID or colds, flu, whatever. So this is valuable at all times, the valuable information. Okay, so I talked about eliminating dairy, again, because that really creates a lot of phlegm in the body. Phlegm creates a blockage of, if you think of a quagmire effect, where if you have a river, you know, a stream, and then you have like this pocket that is on the side of the river, and you see all that sludgy stuff start to accumulate on the surface, that's like phlegm in the body. So phlegm can come directly from things like dairy, or it can be a combination of dampness, which means stomach energy not transforming fluids, combined with excess heat in the body or an imbalance of heat. Sometimes people think, you know, especially acupuncturists that don't understand the energetic aspect, and you tell somebody they have too much heat in their body, and then they go to their acupuncturist and they're like, well, you don't have any signs of excess heat. No, it's deficient heat. It's an imbalance in heat. You've got too much heat compared to the air conditioner part. So sweating at night, for example, would be indicative of that, or hot flashes, sweating, spontaneous sweating. And all of that, then yin deficiency symptoms, then that eventually will lead to qi deficiency, where you feel tired and lethargic all the time. So you don't want to keep taxing your air conditioner by putting more heat into the system that's already, the air conditioner is struggling to keep up already. It's like opening your windows on a 100-degree day with a 30-year-old air conditioner that's already struggling to keep up. So stop putting in the hot forming foods, like all the spicy stuff, and a lot of those supplements that are very hot in nature are making you worse. So coffee is warming also. I only drink 1 cup of coffee, really good coffee per day. I'm pretty much in balance, but I know that, like, if I drink wine 3 days in a row, for example, even if I had like 2 glasses of wine 3 days in a row, I would start feeling like, okay, this is taxing my air conditioner, because wine is extremely warming in nature. Even if it's cold white wine, it's still very warming. Conversely, peppermint tea, whether it's hot or cold, if you drink hot peppermint tea or cold peppermint tea, it's cooling in the body. It's not the temperature of the food or beverage, it's the energetic nature of it, hot versus cooling. So coffee is warming. Alcohol, super alcohol, like any of the high grade alcohols. Wine, very warming. Beer, however, is cooling or neutral. So but too much beer can form dampness, which again taxes spleen and stomach energy. So it's everything in moderation. It's just understanding that you can bring yourself back into balance through food as medicine, and just understanding that what you think is a healthy food might not be healthy for you right now. Like eating raw salads might be good for you when you're in balance, but right now, if you've got weak spleen and stomach energy, don't eat the raw. Don't eat the raw. Make sure everything is lightly cooked. Okay, so that is dairy. Detoxing. If you have a lot of toxins in your system, guess what? Your immune function is going to naturally be weaker, because it's just trying to get the energy through all of those toxins. And again, like cellulite is a combination of spleen, stomach energy not working for transforming fluids, combined with toxicity in the liver and gallbladder energy and that heat. So it combines together like as though you have a big pot of soup and you put it on the stove, and it's that moisture that's built up, that dampness, and then you cook it. And you cook it, and you cook it, and you cook it, and you cook it all day, and then you get this sludge in the bottom of the pot. That's this goopy stuff. That's cellulite or beer belly. That's what's called, phlegm in the body. So again, you can make phlegm immediately. Like if you've ever had a glass of milk, what happens when you're because it's creating phlegm instantaneously. We're the only animal on the planet that keeps drinking milk after we're no longer, infants. So no other animal keeps consuming milk. The mother's milk is just for the formative time, when you're a baby and you can't eat solid food yet. And then you start eating whatever your diet is, as you're supposed to be eating as an adult animal. And we shouldn't be continuing to drink milk and eat cheese and all this other stuff. You can, in moderation. Again, everything in moderation. But if you're already out of balance, you're going to want to get rid of that. So that phlegm is really going to make it hard for your lungs to do their job of expelling a pathogen when it comes in. So you need to be able to, you know, it's like comes in, it's like boom, knock it out. Because if it's got all this phlegm, and it's going to make a nice home, and then it's going to like breed and then like proliferate and more phlegm, and then you can't breathe, and that's a bad thing. So get rid of the dairy. Okay, detoxing again, getting rid of the toxins that are in the system. That's a whole discussion in itself. So, but if you have ways of detoxing, you know, I used to have to do juice fasts for years, like vegetable and mostly vegetable, some fruit juice. You don't want a lot of sugar. Fruit juices in general by themselves, too much sugar. So, but in, you know, a little bit in conjunction with other vegetables is very cleansing, purifying. And it allows your body to dump a lot of toxins. The Rejuvenator does the same thing. There's a detox protocol, but I tell people it's like if you have a huge amount of toxins, don't start doing the detox protocol until you started to build up the spleen and stomach energy, so that can start working and doing the job that it's supposed to do. Then when you start dumping the toxins in spleen and stomach and large intestine and lung, they all work in conjunction with each other. It's not just what, you know, Western spleen and stomach. It's liver, gallbladder, lung, large intestine, small intestine, heart, all of these things work together. But you want to start dumping toxins when the systems are starting to work. So now because you want to dump them and then get them out of the body. You don't want them to get reabsorbed. So, yeah, sleep. Oh, and detoxing this up here. Again, what you put into your body is as important as what you say, I'm not going to allow into my body. So putting good, clean stuff, positive energy in, and saying no to the bad stuff. So none of that toxic, you know, the media and the fear mongering, the news, all of that stuff that's designed to get you all riled up. And then, you know, participating in groups or chats or whatever, you know, groups that thrive on that. And then you always get these instigators that they just feed off of that agitation. You know, they'll put these provoking comments to get people riled up. Not about sharing and educating. It's designed to specifically get you riled up and get you angry. And then they feed off of that. So don't participate in those. Just you know, say no. Choose to be very selective about what you put in your consciousness and what you are choosing to eat through the media, because it's like putting energy directly into your system. Especially watching things anytime. There's so many things out there, you know, it's like, watch this video, it's like it's gonna like freak you out or whatever. It's like, no, don't watch it. Don't. It's like, if it's gonna get you that upset, don't watch it. Do you really need to watch it? No. Even so, again, like I said, it's been scientifically researched. If you watch things versus reading a description, reading the description is bad enough, but at least your psyche can moderate that when it's read. But if you watch it, it's like, it's just like, you know, smelling something, how it triggers that, you know, can send you back to your childhood. A sense of smell goes right to the limbic brain, and you can immediately latch onto these memories that you haven't thought of in, you know, decades. Watching fight or flight inducing video footage, whether it's real or movies, which is, you know, not even real, but it still has that same effect. So it goes in and it stays trapped in your energy body. So detoxifying the energy body is also very important. And again, the Rejuvenator does that. It detoxes the energy body and the physical body. Going out in nature is going to be an amazing thing for detoxing the energy body and breathing in that air. You have to do it a lot. Breathing in that clean air is going to help detoxify the body, help reset everything, bring the anxiety levels down. But it has to be clean air. You have to be out in nature. So, okay, detoxing the mind, reducing stress. I already talked about that, the importance of not watching the news, especially in the morning. I didn't finish this thought, but in the morning, within 30 minutes of getting up, you're still very much in touch with your unconscious mind, the alpha state. You're still in that semi-alpha state, which is what, you know, like if you do hypnosis, that's when you can reprogram your thoughts, and NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. It's reprogramming the mind when it's in that alpha state and it's susceptible to being able to change its messaging. If you want to change your thought behaviors, that's how you do it. If you are feeding that your thoughts when you're still close to being in that alpha state, like right after you get up, or you wake up and you read your tablet or your phone and you read this bad news. So right before going to bed or right after getting up are the worst times. Or if you wake up in the middle of the night and you read some terrible news, that's all getting trapped in your energy body. It's toxic, and then it feeds down into the physical body. So it creates energetic blockages in the meridians, which are the energy pathways which circulate that life force energy through our bodies. So it's not nerves, it's not the blood vessels, it's the actual energetic pathways that are circulating that life force energy. Those can get blocked. You get kinks in your hose. The kinks can start from some kind of psychological trauma. Depending on which emotion it is, that will block different energy systems. So stress, anger blocks liver and gallbladder energy, and then it creates that buildup of toxicity. Liver and gallbladder can't detoxify the body physically or energetically, and then you get that buildup, and then you get all this tension in your neck. Your neck just feels tight all the time, or you like might have hip pain, or because the hips are the gallbladder meridian goes from here, and then it goes around the ear, and then up over the head, and then back over the head. It zigzags all over the place. And then the back of the neck. So these points that get very active with people and very tight, and then they may get one-sided headaches. That's gallbladder. It comes down the tops of the shoulders, down. These are the extensions of the meridians, which traditional Chinese medicine doesn't even know anything about, these very important parts of the meridian. So in my Chinese medicine training, it's like there's so much that you can understand about what's going on with somebody in their energy body when you understand the full meridians, but you've kind of like, you've only got half the map in the Chinese meridian system. So they're like, I don't know why your middle finger feels so tight. They're clueless. It's like, that's because that's the gallbladder meridian goes to the middle finger. It doesn't just go down the sides of the legs, which is all they have is the part that goes down the side of the legs. They're missing this part, and they're missing the part that goes around the scapula, and then down the side of the body, and down, through the hips, down the sides of the legs. So anyway, lots of things that people get, and they get, and they might get, all their joints might get stiff. Their fingers get stiff, their ankles, their wrists, their knees, all of the joints will, and that's because liver and gallbladder energy controls the joints, the sinews, the tendons. So you can treat all of that with the Rejuvenator, but you don't have to treat all your wrists and all your, knees and ankles and hips and all of that. You just treat the root of the problem. You get the energy flowing in the liver and gallbladder meridian. You detoxify the physical body and the energy body with the same thing. And then guess what? All that stuff starts working, because it's just a blockage. It's like kinks in your hose, and that's where it manifests. It manifests in the sinews and the joints. So, and again, stress directly blocks liver and gallbladder energy. So that fear mongering, that fight or flight, that also blocks kidney energy, which is that very important life force energy storehouse in the kidneys. But it's just bad. Don't be putting that stuff in. It's like going to McDonald's and eating McDonald's food every day. And most people are kind of aware now that eating McDonald's junk food is bad for you. Watch Super Size Me if you don't believe me. It's a documentary that this guy did an experiment for, I think it was only 30 days, and all he ate was McDonald's. Oh my God, his health plummeted. In 30 days, he was like, he actually got so sick. It was like actually got to the point where it was almost life-threatening from doing this experiment. Have you ever seen that, Joe? That documentary, Super Size Me? You should watch it. You'll find it fascinating. It came out several years ago. But anyway, okay, eliminating negative energy, reducing stress, detoxing the energy body. I always say you have to stop putting sand in the gas tank. So again, this is our car in life, right? This is our car. This is our vehicle that gets us around. This is not just us. This is, your body does not define who you are. Your consciousness, and it's not your brain. It's like who you are, your consciousness, your soul, whatever word you want to use. That's who you are. And this is your car. It's your vehicle. So take good care of your car. You have to take care of it and stop putting sand in the gas tank, because it's like sometimes people are so focused on the external stuff. Well, my skin has to look good, and but then they put all this junk inside. It's like, guess what? Your skin is a direct reflection of what's inside your body. So if you think your skin is aging on your face at an accelerated rate, that's because of all the stuff you're putting in your body. It just happens to be showing up in your face, and the wrinkles and the, sagging skin and all this, and the muscles getting emaciated, because that's where a lot of the muscles, where the loss of volume in the face comes from sagging muscles. So you need to get the energy flowing back again, and then stop putting the sand in the gas tank. Because, you know, like you can get an old car and you can, you know, get rid of all the dents, and you can like repaint it and make it look all nice and shiny on the outside, put in some new leather seats. It's not going anywhere if you don't put gas in the gas tank. So first of all, you need to put that gas in the gas tank, because it's like you can do all this work to make it look nice, but you have to put gas in the gas tank. That's that life force energy. But even if you put gas in the gas tank and then you put sand in there at the same time, guess what? It's like, well, I'm trying to drive, but I've got all the sand in here. I'm trying to filter through. It's like you're gunking up the system at the same time you're trying to fill it up and make it look good, and, you know, everything. So it all happens at the same time. So stopping putting the sand in the gas tank, and the sand is, you know, junk food, anything like that, refined, and or supplements or foods that are not good for you right now, but they might be good for you in the future. Just right now, you just need to know what the things are that you want to eliminate, and while you're coming back into balance, because everything is healable and reversible. And sand is also the mental stuff. So don't be putting that toxic mental information into your consciousness, and that directly affects the body. You've heard the mind-body connection. I mean, it's been validated scientifically thousands of times now, so it's no longer a question. Okay. Yeah, I already talked about fight or flight, blocking immune function, getting great sleep. I already talked about that, but that also boosts immune function. It also allows the brain, I call it the nightly defrag, because every night when you go into deep sleep, we need deep sleep and we need REM sleep. REM, rapid eye movement, and deep sleep. We need all the different levels of sleep, but people are often deficient in REM and deep sleep. So again, the Rejuvenator does that, induces deep sleep, so you get this deep restorative sleep. But when people get older and their melatonin levels decline, they often they get very superficial sleep. They can't sleep. They wake up several times in the middle of the night. When people wake up between 1, 3, and sometimes 4 a.m., that usually is indicative of liver gallbladder toxicity, liver gallbladder imbalance. So needing to detoxify, because it's like you go to sleep and then you wake up and then you can't go back to sleep. It's annoying when you can't go back to sleep, you know. And then what do people do? They get on their tablet and they start reading, and then they get the blue light, and the blue light says, guess what? It's the middle of the day, so you don't need to go back to sleep because it's the middle of the day. You should be up. And you're like, I'm exhausted though. I want to go back to sleep. Well, you're telling me it's the middle of the day because you're putting this blue light in my eyes, and that's what I'm sensing. So anyway, getting good sleep, very important. Because the night when you go into that deep sleep mode, that's when your brain stores short-term memory into long-term memory. It reorganizes all the data. It's kind of like, if you remember when computers, you know, you used to have to defrag your hard drive, and you could actually see it, you know, older versions where you do the defrag and you could see all these little packets of information rearranging themselves and putting themselves, and then it gets all nice and like, now I've got nice blocks of red, green, you know, you can actually see the data gets nice, and like taking a big giant pile of books that's thrown on your living room floor, and now you take it and you put it in the shelves and you organize them, you know, alphabetically, or you organize all the big books together and all the smaller books, but it's having this organizational system, and that happens at night while you're sleeping. So your brain does this nightly, my phrase, defrag, as I like to call it, and organizes the data and stores short-term memory into long-term. If you're not getting that deep restorative sleep, then your brain doesn't have an opportunity to do that. That's when people start like having a hard time remembering things. I can't access, you know, God, I just did this yesterday, or where did I leave my keys? You know, all of that stuff. It's like you can't access that data because it's all jumbled up in your brain. And then of course, things like that, you know, that will end up leading to Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and stuff that where the brain, it's like kinks in the hose, but in the brain, it's like the energy is not freely flowing. So then you start getting symptoms that show up in the brain. Not a problem with the brain itself. It's just that's where the energy is getting blocked. And it's, you know, getting deep restorative sleep has been shown to directly benefit people with Alzheimer's. So anyway, lots of side trajectories. I can go on with that as well. Okay, any questions?
You are getting so likes and hearts, everything.
Okay. Good. Likes and hearts. I like those. Like I said, I'm not going to look because I'll get distracted and I'll lose my train of thought.
So when it's time, go there. But
wait, what? You're breaking up every time. Like when you come back in initially, like you break up a little bit. Then after you talk for a while, so I'm not going to say anything. You just talk.
I'll carry on talking. Okay, so we've got some questions here on Facebook. To answer them now.
Let me do a couple more points because I'm almost through my list. Okay. Couple of really important things. While people have this opportunity, because a lot of people have more time, of course, a lot of things are opening up now, but if you take time to do something that's nurturing and, you know, fulfilling for yourself, doing something creative, you know, even the simplest things, you know, again, going out in nature can be very creative. Don't go out with a friend and chit chat the whole time. Go and like really tune in, or, you know, do like drawing or doodling or, you know, something, listening to or playing music, anything that's going to be stimulating that right brain creativity. What else? Because not everybody knows how to create art. You don't have to. You can doodle. You can do coloring books. I mean, just having that exposure to color. Again, that's what I teach in my Creative Flow training program. I teach people how to use color for, and not just color, but the kinesthetic action and then sound and smell for, you know, catapulting into flow state. But there's so much you can do by even bringing more color into your environment, into your surroundings, you know, or, you know, make some new pillows or something. Doing something that you enjoy doing that feels creative to you, because gardening, that's another thing, because you're getting sunshine, you're working with the plants, it can be put you right into flow. I mean, some people just like, that's their flow practice. It's like going out and fiddling in their garden and doing stuff like that. And you're getting that double whammy, because you're getting the triple whammy, actually, sunshine, working with the plants, and the healing energy that are found in nature and the plants. So doing something creative. Go ahead.
As well, isn't it?
Wait, you were completely quiet there. I don't understand why. Okay, go ahead, talk.
I'm saying there's something cool about putting your hands in the
Yes, yeah. Well, again, I mean, everything, and there's also, you know, we can talk about the earthing benefits and the fact that, you know, when you walk barefoot on the ground, there's an exchange of free radicals, and that neutralizes, it helps detoxify the body and promote this antioxidant effect. So, but again, that's a whole other discussion. But walking barefoot is fabulous. I'm never wearing shoes in the summer. I'm like outside all the time. That's why I have my doors open. I don't, unless I have to go somewhere, and then I have to put shoes on, obviously, but sandals usually. I don't want my feet to be closed in. Anyway, yeah, so working with the dirt, working with plants, again, you're getting that nice exchange of energy. Then if you're growing your own vegetables, you get to eat that too. Don't be putting toxic fertilizers in there though. So like, don't be trying to manipulate the chemistry. Use like natural, you know, there's all kinds of, you know, natural fertilizers that are made from plants and cow manure, other things like that. Okay, another whole discussion. I'm going to come back. Okay. Paying it forward is really important. So when people get caught up in that stress and, you know, like fight or flight and freaking out and like, terror, I'm terrified. When you do something, you go out of your way to help somebody else, guess what? That just like shuts that off, because now you get out of your own mind and your own like drama that you're creating up here in that prefrontal cortex. You get out of that, you go out of your way to do something to help others. That's what I saw like at the very beginning of this, like in spades, you know, so many people just wanting to connect and like, oh, so the elderly people, they can't go grocery shopping, I'll go grocery shopping. So people just volunteering. Does anybody need anything? Because I'm going to go to the store. If you are afraid to go out and be exposed to other people, you know, I'll go and do your shopping for you, not for a fee, just for free, you know, where people were reaching out. And because I'm in this neighborhood association thing also, where, you know, you connect directly with your neighbors. So just this outpouring of people being generous and going out of their way to help others. And that helps to take you out of that fear pattern and block that. So you're not getting caught up in your story. And, you know, because we'll just like squirrels in a cage, or the gerbil on the wheel, whatever, you know, you just go and go and go and go. And if you do that at night, it's what? you're not sleeping all night because your thoughts are going, and it will just like keep going. Anyway, so doing something to go out of your way to help others. Changing your thoughts changes everything. I mean, you're in control of your reality every single moment of the day. Literally, you can change your life at any moment. And all you have to do is make the decision. That's the hardest thing. I mean, it's also when I teach people to get into flow, you just have to decide. You know, the hardest thing is making the decision that you're ready to make a dramatic shift in your life. Because a lot of times people are like, yeah, but this is familiar. This is what I've gotten used to. I'm used to being able to complain about things all the time. I'm used to being able to like lament about my health issues. I'm used to being able to like freak out about whatever's in the media and like complain and get angry and, you know, try to incite others with my anger. So that's their familiar place and that's their comfortable place. It doesn't mean it's good for them, but they're often reluctant to leave that behind because that's what they know. You know, it's like the devil you know versus the devil you don't. And this is the devil I know. But really it's like this, yeah, but there is no devil over here. This is like happiness and joy and abundance. But you need to let go of the devil, you know, like, because you're the one that's creating it in your life. So everything that you put out into the world comes back to you 100-fold. If you're putting out positive energy and supporting and giving to others, that's going to come back to you. But you don't do it for that reason. You don't do it because I'm doing this because I know I'm going to get 100% return on my investment. You know? So you're like, not 100, I guess it would be 1,000. You don't do it for that reason. You do it because the satisfaction, the joy that you get from helping others. We are hardwired that way. We are in our optimal state when we are going out of our way to help others. And we've seen this during disaster times. That's where people have this, you know, everybody, you forget about your differences. You just, everybody wants to help, you know, when there's like 9/11 or, you know, Katrina or whatever, like natural disaster that happens or artificial disaster, whatever it is, people go out of their way to help others. And that's when humanity really shines. And because that's our natural state, it's just not this dog eat dog world. We actually thrive on being helpful and supportive and nurturing to others. We do not thrive. We get shriveled up and die when we are angry and toxic and we keep putting that out into the world, because maybe that's what you learned from your parents or your grandparents or from your job or whatever, or your training, whatever. I don't know where people have learned it, but it doesn't matter. It's like you have a choice to say, you know what, this is not really serving me. And when you recognize that it's not serving you, then it's time to let it go. But you're the only one that can make that decision. Let it go, and you literally, on a dime, can change the trajectory of your life simply by saying, you know what, I'm in the habit of having these negative thoughts, but every time I have one, I'm going to replace it with the positive. What do I want to manifest in my life and in the world? You replace that negative thought, the thing that you're afraid of, with the positive opposite. So like, I'm afraid I'm going to lose my job and lose my house, and I've got all these payments, and I'm like, I'm not earning any money right now, and I'm destitute, and it's like, I'm going to be homeless. All of those are not serving you. You replace those every single time with, I have abundance. I have everything I need. You know, I like attract abundance from the universe. And I'm not like this whole secret thing, which is all about, you know, like making a lot of money. It's not about that. It's about if you're doing what you're passionate about and you're going out of your way to help others, the money follows. I guarantee you. But it's not, well, let me figure out what can I do to make money. Do what you're passionate about. This is a good opportunity to revamp and figure out what it is that, you know, have you been on the wrong path? Because when you get off your path and you're not in alignment with what your path and purpose is, why you're here, why you're in this car, in this lifetime in the first place, we all have a purpose. When you get off alignment, you know, get out of alignment, you start like focusing on the things that aren't really important. Like, well, okay, I need to have this paycheck, and I need to climb the ladder, and I need to, you know, buy a house, then I need to buy a bigger house, then I need to get a flashy car, then I need to have these things, and I need to, you know, have like the marriage and X number of kids by this age. I mean, the things that society imposes and makes you believe that you need, it's like some of those may be good for you, but that's not that. You don't start there. You start with what makes me excited to get out of bed in the morning? What makes me passionate about living this life? What can I do to serve others and help put that positive energy out into the world? Not about like, what can I do to make the most money? because that's where a lot of people, and that's where a lot of our societies have conditioned us to focus. And that's how I was raised. I was raised to just make a lot of money. Doesn't matter if you're happy, you can be miserable and angry and stressed out all the time, but the important thing is make a lot of money. You know, I came from parents that were first generation North American, one Canadian, one American, and they both came from parents that had survived through depressions, you know, the depression and like hardship and being very poor. And so that was kind of like, that was an important message that they got, you know, as growing up. It's like, you really, if you have a lot of money, then you don't have to worry about starving. And I understand that, but it's like when you focus on the things that you're here to do and putting that positive energy out into the world, the money comes, it does follow. And people have heard this all the time. It's like, oh, well, it doesn't work for me. It's like, well, because you're focusing on the money. It's like, what can I do to make a lot of money? What are you excited about? What are you passionate about? Do what you're passionate about. And then you grow that. And guess what? You start off with a seed and then it grows, but it's not this like instant get rich quick scheme. That's what everybody's like, oh, I need to come up with a great idea to get rich quick. It's like, no, you need to do something that's going to put helpful energy and helpful information, helpful services out into the world. And then when you build that, that's when you get abundance in return. You get abundance throughout the whole process. So anyway, another whole discussion there. Last thing is, pay attention. If you do start to feel sick at all, nip it in the bud. Take the time, stop working. Say, I'm taking some time for myself, go out in nature. If you've got a rejuvenator, start doing treatments right then. As soon as you start feeling out of balance, nip it in the bud. It will never get a chance to get its stronghold. But you have to, you have to address it before it gets out of balance. It's like everything. I'm like super healthy, but even I go out of balance. I go in and out of balance. I actually push myself out of balance intentionally. Sometimes I'll experiment to see how far can I go to do things that will push me out of balance, and how long will it take, to come back into balance. So I've done that so many times because, I also do research with the rejuvenator. So I use myself as a guinea pig, and we have thousands of people in the community that it's like, here, we have this whole data pool of information. So, but I experiment on myself because I want to see how far can I can push myself out. It takes way longer for me to get myself out of balance now than it did years ago. 20, 30 years ago, my liver was not working at all. I was sick all the time. I was depleted. I was drinking too much alcohol. I was like in terrible shape. And then you get to the point where you're so out of balance and so toxic. Every little thing, I went through a period. I had all this redness and swelling. My whole face and my eyes were like swelling. I had so much toxicity in my system, and I didn't know what was causing it. Because this is before I started studying all this stuff. And then I start, in the process of trying to figure out what's going on with myself. Then I'm learning all of this information. So when you learn stuff because you're passionate about it, you're curious about it, then everything that you learn, and you can go and you can help other people. It's like, here, I already went through the learning curve. I can help you. You don't have to spend 30 years like I did going through and figuring all this stuff out. I can help you get there faster. Sometimes people want to go through their own learning curve, and that's their path. It's fine. But if you're ready to get on the path to doing what you're here to do, and you're ready to let go of the, sick and tired and feeling and suffering and, the angry and negative thoughts and all of that, you just have to decide. So making the most of this opportunity right now, where it's like, because looking at the positive, you can always look at the negative of a situation, or you can look at the positive. You can always take lemons and turn them into lemonade. And it's just a matter of shifting your perspective. So every dark cloud has a silver lining. I'm going to throw some cliches out there, but the reason that they're cliches is because they're true. So anyway, Oh, one thing I was going to say on my website, if you go to my website, I have these free healing color screensavers. I didn't mention this last time. I kind of forgot about it, but because then people sign up on my website all the time to get the, so they're my art, my paintings, but they all have these healing properties. So you can go and download like the red, predominantly red, which then if you're feeling lethargic and tired, gives you energy. If you're feeling really overly stimulated, one of the teal or the blue paintings. That will help calm you down. So the ones that you're drawing, you can download all of them, and they're like full high resolution screensavers. So if you can have them all, and then like whichever one you're most attracted to at any given time, that's going to be the one that you need, and that's going to help bring you into balance, whether you're feeling down and it helps bring you up, or you're feeling agitated and helps bring you down. So it brings you back into balance more quickly. So that if you go on to catalyticcolor.com, has all of this stuff on it, and my YouTube channel has a lot of other videos as well. catalyticcolor.com, catalyticcolor.com. I also have a website that's all my artwork, which is leannevenier.com. But this one, if you go there, there'll be like a pop-up window, and you can sign up and get the free Healing Color screensavers, and then you download them. You can download all of them. You can download whatever your favorite one is at the time. But I always tell people, just download them all, then you've got them. You keep them in a file, and then when you need them, you can use them for bringing yourself back into balance. About rejuvenators for anybody that wants to know more about that, catalyticcolor.com. Oh, and this is the rejuvenator, by the way. That's what it looks like. And I'll plug it in because I'm realizing that we want to get to answering some questions here. But this is what it looks like. And there's this healing matrix array of lights. This one is the number 3 formulation, which is a combination of visible red wavelengths, multiple wavelengths of visible red, and wavelengths of near infrared, all in a synergistic formula. So it's the formulation together, but it also has additional quantum healing energies, the quantum energy healing codes that provide the nature, going out in nature effect. So it's healing the energy body, filling up that life force energy gas tank, opening up blockages in the meridians, the energy channels, and healing at a local cellular and mitochondrial level all at the same time. So wherever there's imbalance or pain, inflammation, wound, injured tissues, hormonal imbalances, brain cognitive function, I mean, you name it, cancer, the list goes on and on for healing all this stuff. So, but again, even if you don't have one of those, all of the stuff that I gave you, you can do so much to help yourself to boost your immune response by doing these very simple things that don't cost a dime. And boosting the vitamin D levels by getting sunshine on your skin. Although, as we discovered with you, Joe, that when you were really out of balance and you were getting a lot of sun and you still weren't producing enough vitamin D, because what were your other symptoms? What else was going on at the time? Wait, what?
I know
what?
that's bad. I'm not sure.
Every time you come back from not talking for a while, there's like a lag, and then it starts working. So I'm going to not say anything.
Okay. So infertility, thyroid, and what else? Oh, I've got a lot of intolerances, food intolerances.
Right. Okay. So yeah, you had a lot that wasn't working in the system, and that was probably because your life force energy gas tank was not filled up enough, right? So this is my. What are you doing? Stop it.
Oh, and
what?
my mother had very low vitamin D levels all her life, so I'm imagining it could have been from in utero as well.
Oh yeah. So what did she have all her life?
She vitamin D3 deficiency.
Oh,
she was able to use sunscreen all the time and never go into the sun without it. And
right.
She ended up with cancer and with all the autoimmune diseases and she ended up dying from it. Her levels were so low by the time we discovered that's what it was, that it was too late, to pick it up.
Well, again, but that's the chemistry aspect, right? So but that's like downstream from what, was causing the low gas tank and the blockages in the energy channel in the first place. So she wasn't getting any sunshine, obviously. So she was actually actively avoiding sunshine. But again, focusing on putting the energy, filling up that life force energy gas tank. A lot of times was she a nurturing type, like a caregiver type? So like a lot giving all that energy away to everybody else and not taking care of herself, because that's usually for a lot of people that are the caregiving type, that's the root of where their imbalance starts, because it's like you're giving all that energy away, but you need to also, I tell people all the time, you know, that put the oxygen mask on yourself first. If the plane's going to go down, if you want to be able to help your friends, family members, your children, whoever you're flying with, you have to take care of yourself. You have to put your own oxygen mask on first. Otherwise, you're not going to be around to take care of the others. So it's like, and I went through that learning curve myself as a healing practitioner, you know, letting myself get so run down and depleted, always giving and always helping everybody else, because like, that's what I'm driven to do. But I forgot the very important thing. Well, I had to pretty much learn. It's like, I really need to focus on, I need to set boundaries so I can take care of myself, because if I don't, then I can't help all these other people. Because you can only go so long where you're like running out of steam. You're like running out of your life force energy, and then it's like you're giving it away. You need to top that off. So, and that then is often what people will learn from their parents, because that's the behavior that they learn, you know, and then that's where a lot of things, what they say are genetic. It's like, we know that through epigenetics, that the whole genetic thing has been debunked. You don't inherit, what you inherit are behaviors that then can affect your genes, but you can change them at any time. And that's, again, a decision to realize that, you know, sometimes your reality, if that's the only one that you know, then you don't know any better. But like, getting exposed to other people and learning about other people's lives and how they live, and then you're like, oh, I didn't know that was an option. I only thought I had this one option, you know? It's like when people don't travel also. You know, if you've only lived in one country, the country where you grew up, or even if you grew up on an island and you've never left the island, your reality doesn't correlate with everybody else's reality, because everybody's having a different experience. But when you want to expand your, you know, reality, go and experience other people's realities too. Like, go travel, go have other experiences. You know, right now, you can't travel freely, but it doesn't mean you can't have other experiences. You know, watch films from other countries. But there are lots of ways to experience other cultures. And when we get conditioned by the media to think that those other cultures are enemies, or they have a different color skin than you, so they're bad, or they're your enemy, or they're from this other country, or they have a different religion and they're your enemy, it's like all that, you know, fear mongering, and it keeps you in that fight or flight. Look for the common ground. Look for the things that you have in common with other people. You will have a much happier life, I guarantee you. And not getting all worked up about things. So again, you know, that pay it forward, putting that healing energy out into the world, that gets you out of that habit of the, you know, like in the world, the squirrel whirling around the cage. And anyway, that's. I'll leave it dangling like that. It's just, you have a choice. Everybody has a choice. We all have a choice. If you're ready to heal, you have a choice. You get to heal. You can fully heal literally anything. Yeah, and it's really not that hard to do.
It's been so many.
I heard part of that. It's been something.
Magnificent.
Oh, magnificent. That's a good word, to not get cut off. Yeah, it's been fun. How long have we talked? Oh my God, 2 hours again. We said we weren't going to do this, Joe. We said we were going to like cut off at 1 hour. I had a long list. Were there any questions? Did anybody have any particular questions that I didn't already address in my lengthy?
We had questions about computers and the blue light. You did mention that we can set it.
Mm-hmm.
Computers, you said we can set for night mode. So how do we do that? We'll have to look that up, and I'll put it in.
Yeah, no, on a computer, on any computer, there is a free program that's been around for many years now. I mean, in my earliest talks, I was sharing about this when it was a new company. It's called Flux, F-L-U-X. What?
So it's not just for the phone, it's for the computer as well.
No, this particular one, as far as I know, they still don't have a mobile version that works on without having to do this little thing on your phone. Most phones now have a night mode, so you don't have to install something like in my settings on an Android and on an iPhone. If you go into your settings, it'll have like display blue light filter. Like on this latest one, I actually have it right on my app screen. So I've got blue light filter. So I have mine set to turn on as it gets dark. Like first it was 7 o'clock earlier, now it's set at 8 o'clock. So I can tell actually what time it is because then my color of my phone shifts. All the new phones and tablets have a night mode or a blue light filter on them. If you have an older one, there are apps, external apps that you can download both for iPhone or Android. You just look in the app store and you can find, you know, blue light filter or something like that. I have yet to find a really good one, but I haven't looked in the last several months because now I've got one built right into my phone. But on the computer, any computer, laptop, desktop, Macintosh, Windows, Google, it should work on all of them. Flux, Flux. It's an app essentially that works on your computer desktop, and as long as your clock on your computer is set to your time zone and the current time, then it will sync with that. So if it's winter time and it starts getting dark at 5 o'clock in the evening where you live, then at 5 o'clock in the evening, the color of your monitor will start changing, and it will go from being a very bright blue white, where it's stark white, you know, that like daylight bulbs, to a very peachy pink. It will gradually change, and then late at night. So that's what I use on my computer that I do streaming video at night. I make sure that, you know, I'm not getting bombarded with blue light at night. So it's not keeping me awake. I can still watch my streaming video from an LED screen, but it's eliminated the majority of the blue light. So I'm not getting bombarded with that. And then I don't have white light bulbs in my house either at night. I have in my bedroom, I have Himalayan salt lamp. So if I want to have a light on, or I often set up the rejuvenator for my cats to do self-treatments at night, so they can go and they lay on the hamper next to the window and they do, you know, treatments. They do their battery recharges, even though they get to go out in the sun. But sometimes they've got something, they seem perfectly healthy to me, but they want to do a rejuvenator treatment. Animals love it. They will naturally gravitate towards it when they need it. So we have, especially when people first get in the community, they're just so amused by the fact that they turn on the rejuvenator and their dog or cat is just like, get out of my way, my turn. You know, like, they want to lay on top of it or hug it, or like, so I always tell them, it's like, give them the opportunity to have their own treatment after you're done with yours, because they'll be like, you know, they're trying to like steal the light, and like, no, they need those healing energies. It's not just the light. They'll even lay on them like when they're not turned on, because they're still getting an energetic benefit from the quantum energy healing codes. But when they're turned on, it's even stronger. Anyway, so yeah, so in your bedroom, just have red light or no light. And when you want to go to sleep, you want no light. You want to have it dark. You want to, you know, if you have ambient light coming in through your windows, then wear a nice, you know, sleep mask. I do that because I have, you know, I live in Austin, and even though I've got tons of trees around me, you're in the city, so there's ambient light always. And I don't use blackout curtains. I have dark curtains, but they're not like the blackout kind. So I just wear a sleep mask at night, so that blocks all the light, and I'm covered by a blanket, so I'm not getting exposure to any of that light. And that makes a big difference. But in conjunction with the sleep protocol, that, you know, puts you right out. I just don't want to be awakened. I don't want to have any blue light stimulating me throughout the night. If I go and I need to use the bathroom at night, you know, while I'm watching streaming video, I have a different set of lights. I have two sets of lights in my bathroom. I have the daylight bulbs over my mirrors, and then I have another light bulb that's over the sunken bathtub that is a yellow light. And it's a much like not a bright light. So I use that when I go into the bathroom at night. I just turn on the yellow, the softer, not very bright light. I don't want overly stimulation, and I certainly don't want daylight, and I don't want blue light. So I live by myself, so I can change my lighting. And then in other bulbs, I have the LED bulbs that are RGB, so I can change the color that I want. I have one in the bedroom. If I want to have the light on, then it's a red bulb after whatever time it is, whatever time that the sun is setting. I have other bulbs that come on at different times, and I either have them as like a warm yellow or different colors depending on the time. or I don't have them on at all. So they're programmable and they're really easy to use. They're inexpensive. We talked about that in more detail in the other video that we did a couple weeks ago. Yeah, so that's, yeah, Flux. And then, like I said, if you have a smartphone that was purchased in the last, God, at least probably 3 or 4 years, or a tablet, it's going to have a blue light filter or night mode. Look for either of those in the settings.
I'm going to do that. Sound is terrible.
I know, it's only when you come back on. Has mine ever cut out? Has my sound ever cut out? Well, like when I come back and I start talking again? No, just you. I don't know why. It must be Zoom. Oh, you know what? It might be because we're doing the Facebook Live, because normally Zoom doesn't do that. Maybe there's like a little bit of a lag because of the Facebook Live.
Maybe.
I don't know. Anyway, any other questions?
No, and everybody said loved it, absolutely delighted with it.
Thank you.
Loads of comments at. You can't hear me, can you?
You can always tell when I'm going, oh, like you're making, I'm hearing, oh, no, so that's kind of what I hear, and I'm trying to read your lips and fill in the gaps, and I kind of get some of it, but then I obviously have a very perplexed look on my face at the same time. Lots of positive comments, and people, lots of loves and likes, and then something, hearts, lots of hearts. Lots of hearts, good, okay. Okay, I'll let you talk. Go ahead and say something.
I'll try and talk and see if it comes through. Leanne, thank you for bringing us this amazing wisdom and just sharing your heart and your knowledge so eloquently. It's just been an absolute joy for everybody. They have totally loved it. We're getting everything's going crazy up the screen. So thank you.
I'll look at it after.
And we are so looking forward to this. Leanne is going to be doing retreats with us some stage soon. And that we are so looking forward to.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited about too. Yeah, because I love teaching, and I love working with people in person also, and doing online training. But really, when you get together, that's where you get that exchange of energy. So that's exciting. So yeah, thank you so much, Joe, for putting all this energy into what you're creating, and this whole pool of really amazing people that are doing this and putting this positive energy out into the world, because we need people like that are bringing people together, because we can do a lot on our own, but when we pool our resources, that's when we get really powerful. So thank you for all the work you're doing in the world, and I always love chatting with you. This is always fun, and we just it's always a good time to say, okay, that's it, stop talking now, Leanne.
We're gonna say thank you, and we'll connect another time, and we absolutely love you to bits, and thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Bye everyone. Bye.
Let's end the live, and then we'll be